Hello, everyone. I'm John Hayden. Greater Fort Lauderdale, with Wilton Manors at its heart, has become known as a great destination for LGBTQ+. Like so many, I used to vacation here to escape Michigan winters. And like so many, I eventually moved here. What I didn't know at the time was that there was a concerted effort to get me to come down. Well, not just me, but you get my point. That concerted effort was led by Richard Gray, who, in 1995, was given a whopping $35,000 budget to start marketing to LGBTQ+. The rest is history. And Richard joins me now to discuss his journey. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I am privileged and honored, and I'm glad you moved here to beautiful, sunny Greater Fort Lauderdale.
Thank you. Now, before we get into the interview, you have an announcement that you want to make.
I have an announcement. I am retiring. I'm retiring on January the 3rd, 2025. It was a tough decision, long decision, and I've been thinking about it for a few years, but I finally felt that the time was right. I went through some personal health issues last year, and I just felt that I have accomplished what I think is a significant amount, and it was time really to enjoy the fruits of life, so to speak.
Well, we're gonna get to your plans in a while. Spoiler alert, my bet is that you're just gonna sit at home and stream the Travel Channel, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Now, Richard, I think of you as a preacher.
A preacher?
A preacher, spreading the gospel of inclusion from the pulpit of Greater Fort Lauderdale. Now, we're not necessarily going to do this in chronological order, but I do want to start with that first marketing initiative. You started work on Broward tourism in 1991. 1995 is when you got that amazing amount of $35,000. And even then, you didn't say gay. You had to say rainbow when you started marketing the city, right?
Well, I think it was a question of not having the courage or the confidence at that time in 1995 when we were preparing everything to say the word gay. So we had to start off with baby steps. So we used the word rainbow. That resonated with us, and we launched, the campaign was launched in 1996, and it was titled Immerse Yourself. And I kind of modeled it on Greg Louganis, who used to train at the Aquatic Center here, and of course everyone knows was a major Olympic champion. The image that we used was this man diving into a big bubbly swimming pool. I loved it, and so I immediately thought of Greg, and so we called it Immerse Yourself. And as I said, we started off with those baby steps, and we kind of learned, because you have to start slowly, and I would say probably within 5 years, we found gold right at the end of a rainbow. We were one of those lucky people that found gold. Everyone always looks for gold, but we did find gold. But I also want to remind you that when we launched that campaign, we were one of the very first destinations in the United States to even go anywhere close to launching a gay campaign, a rainbow campaign. Without realizing it, we became thought leaders. And very quickly in the country, other destinations, very slowly though, they were watching us very, very closely. And then gradually a couple more destinations after about 5 years, ventured into the platform. But by then, we had really, really positioned Broward County in a great place, highlighting inclusion, being welcoming. We have always been a welcoming destination, so I'm proud of that.
And as well you should be. Did Greg Louganis ever reach out, or did he ever comment on the campaign that he unwittingly inspired?
That's a good question. I did share the campaign on one of his visits when he came to Fort Lauderdale, so yes.
Okay. God, okay, we could go off on 100 tangents.
No, he's amazing, especially at the new Aquatic Center. Can you imagine if he was training at the new Aquatic Center? My God.
He'd give Michael Phelps a run for his money.
Yes.
Absolutely. Now let's fast forward to today.
today.
From 35,000 back in the day to a $1 million budget that very openly says gay at every chance. Getting to this point hasn't been easy. Now just staying at this point isn't easy. Of course, Visit Florida is the state's website.
Right.
Has nothing to do with Visit Lauderdale. You all are an independent agency.
Right. We're a local government agency.
Right. So what do you say to people who are like, what do you say to the businesses that have been bumped off the state's page, that are being erased and ignored? What do you say to them as they are trying to keep our community together?
What I say to them is is exactly what we're doing, is we are continuing to market to the LGBT plus community, to allies. We're continuing to welcome everybody. For us, it's business as normal, and our hotels are still doing extremely well. Tourism numbers obviously soften at this time of the year, so we always see a lull kind of in June and September. But we're continuing to do the same. It's not as if it's having an impact. You know, we're a firm believer that travel transcends politics. And yes, we are different entities, but we are Visit Lauderdale, and we're not going to change that. One thing I will say, that another thing through our great CEO, Stacey Ritter, is that we have been the only destination to speak out, certainly on the Don't Say Gay. And we created a campaign. That was how we respond. We respond in our marketing, because our role really is marketing, is to promote Greater Fort Lauderdale, to educate travelers of Greater Fort Lauderdale, to bring tourists into the county and fill all the hotels up. And we're basically funded by tourist development tax. So we created a campaign called We Are VL, which I think I've played on your show before. Mm-hmm. And that is a perfect example of how we react. Is we dig deeper, we become more, we push the envelope more, and we continue to remind people who we are and that we welcome everybody.
And everybody means everybody. Now, you mentioned Stacey Ritter,
right?
One of the most amazing people I've ever met. I have no idea where her boundless energy comes from. I can assume she's a regular subscriber to deliveries of 5-hour energy drinks. I mean, she's great.
Iced tea from Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, that's it. Okay. Broward County Dunkin' Donuts, by the way. She told me last year that when several organizations like HRC called for a general boycott. Nobody specifically pointed out Broward, obviously, but a general boycott of Florida. She said that she knew of at least 5 conventions that had canceled. Mm-hmm. Has the tide stemmed at all? Are we starting to get the bookings back?
We are starting to get the bookings back, and maybe we're going to see another lull. Because with Visit Florida recently, I don't know the answer to that. Okay. But as I emphasize, is that we will market even more aggressively. We're working on something now at the moment, so that hopefully we'll launch next week.
Would you like to give another preview right here? I'm all about exclusives.
Put it like this: it'll be a rainbow campaign.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
It's all about rainbows.
Just like the past is present. The past is in the present. Now, recent numbers, even here we are in what can arguably be considered some of the worst of times to be LGBTQ in Florida, but recent numbers show 1.5 million LGBTQ plus visitors to Broward County per year, and they're spending $1.5 billion. So our community is still repping, and we're still showing up.
So I hate to correct you, but I'm going to correct you.
Yeah.
3.375 million visitors last year came to Broward County and spent 1.35 billion. Now that is nothing to be snubbed. about. I mean, that's serious numbers. And that's our marketing. That is what we're doing. We're savvy, we're edgy, we're pushy, we push the envelope, but we're a county that has the infrastructure. I mean, if you look at our resident population, we reflect our resident population. You know, a third of our community is brown, a third of our community is black, a third of our community is white. I mean, we have this just wonderful blend of diversity, and it's just, sometimes I find it magical that we're bubbleized. You know, we live in this bubble, and sometimes I have to remind myself, Richard, you know, we're in a bubble here. This is not the state of Florida. We are in the state of Florida, but you know, business is normal. We all come to work. We continue. And I think businesses overall are thriving, and they're, you know, certainly growing. I see Wilton Manors, you know, maybe a little bit soft at the moment business-wise, but I think that's just the time of the year. I mean, we're marketing the destination globally. You know, we have a very strong presence in Central and South America, obviously Canada, Europe, Germany, England. So we're bringing visitors here, even when we're being challenged, you know, by the state.
Mm-hmm. You know, we first met in 2019.
2019.
I met you. I was writing an article on Pride of the Americas.
Oh, I remember that well.
Which of course was delayed years due to pandemic and other things. Now, Visit Lauderdale isn't the producer, but certainly a major sponsor of at least in the past of the group, and you have been instrumental in trying to get things like World Pride to Fort Lauderdale. I think we lost to New York though.
We lost it to Copenhagen.
Oh, to Copenhagen.
Yeah.
They only have a 3-week window a year where it's sunny and dark enough.
Let me tell you,
warm
it's
enough.
grey as hell there. Pardon the pun, but I was shocked that we lost the bid to Copenhagen. But anyway,
but bringing these major events here 30 years ago would have been absolutely unthinkable. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, Pride Fort Lauderdale is hoping to plan an event for next year, and we all hope that Pride Fort Lauderdale brings a comeback. What can the county do, the city do? Because Fort Lauderdale needs to have Pride.
Of course.
How can we support whoever runs this, and how can we get this back on track? Because Stonewall and Wilton Manors is fun, but Fort Lauderdale Pride is something that the world recognizes.
Well, we're not event organizers.
Right.
That's not our role.
Mm-hmm.
Our role certainly would be to promote and market, you know, in a great way, Pride, Fort Lauderdale. But I think the organization themselves has to fundraise and raise funds to support the event. I mean, that is not our function.
Right.
You know.
Now, a few years ago, you and the team won an Emmy for the Greater Together campaign.
Yes. Well.
Then 2 years ago, you launched Everyone Under the Sun, and took inclusion to an entirely new level.
Yes.
The thing is, this is not an LGBTQ plus campaign. It is an everyone campaign.
Right.
In this, you see there's a gay couple and a lesbian couple. There's a blind man walking the beach with his dog.
Blind Bill.
Blind Bill?
We call him Blind. He likes to be called Blind Bill.
Okay, well then Blind Bill
great,
it is.
Yeah. And his beautiful dog.
And people in wheelchairs.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I know has been close to your heart.
Yep.
While certainly as an out LGBTQ man, and everything, a lot of the focus you're associated with LGBTQ, but disability and making Fort Lauderdale accessible has been something that I've watched, and I know I came late to the party. This is something you've been a passionate advocate for a long time.
So I would say I've always been a generator of change, all my life. And when I came into the travel platform, it was a platform that I really embraced. It, not initially. I had to, you know, I would like to think that I'm relatively savvy, so I like to start slowly and then gain momentum and then start running, and it's kind of how I look at the evolution of our campaigns. In that 96 we said rainbow, and then after 5 years we said gay, and then we said gay and lesbian, then we said GLBT, then we said LGBT, then we said LGBTQ, then we said LGBT plus, and now we're starting to say LGBTQ plus. So we've seen an incredible evolution. You know, you don't get to these places overnight. You know, we were marketing primarily to the gay men, and we started to market to lesbians, and then of course we made history when we created the first ever transgender campaign in the whole world. Nobody in the world had ever marketed, no destination had ever marketed to the transgender community, and I wanted to. And why did I want to? Because it was the right thing to do. And I wanted to be a voice for trans people, even to the extent that once we did the first ever trans travel survey, that nobody had ever done that in the world. And then we sat down and we created a campaign called Where Happy Meets Go Lucky that we filmed at Rosie's, funnily enough. And we had no negative feedback. I can truly tell you that since 1996, we have had very, very little negative feedback as far as, you know, hate emails or hate calls or, you know, people have embraced what we've done, and other destinations have emulated what we've done. So the trans initiative really put Greater Fort Lauderdale on the global map. We really caught the attention around the world, whether it be Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, UK, Germany, England. I mean, we were the buzz, and the United Nations even recognized the work that we had done in the trans platform, and did a case study that they shared with all United Nations members. So that was kind of the peak. We created a campaign called Celebrate You. Yeah. And Celebrate You was probably one of my favorite campaigns. It was a very unusual campaign in that we used black and white images of people. And I really wanted to highlight, I added, of course, the black and brown colors to the rainbow flag at that time. And I wanted to include trans, I wanted to include non-binary, I wanted to include plus size, I want to include obviously lesbian, Latino, white, and I said, now I'm ready to look at the disabled, to platform accessibility. And we found this extraordinary Latino man, straight, ally, with one leg, and we had the most incredible photo shoot. I was actually a part of that photo shoot because one of the models was stranded at the airport, and so I was a fill-in. And one of the things I find funny about it is there are a couple of shots of us together, and I, on set, said to him, "Can I kiss you?" And he looked at me, and he said, "Yes, you can." And I just wanted to show that connection, that I respected him, I loved him for who he was. It didn't matter that he just had one leg or whatever. And I remember that has been a very poignant moment for me, because I'd never done that to a total stranger, asked them to kiss me. So that was when I really started to look at the accessible platform. And then as I dug deeper, just as I did in the trans platform, I realized that, wow, 1 in 4 Americans has some form of a visible or an invisible disability. 1 in 4 Americans, that's humongous. It's a $58 billion market. And who's marketing to them? When you look at destination ads, if you look at travel magazines, if you look at regular magazines, how many people are you seeing with disabilities? And so there again, I wanted to push the envelope. And so we created these campaigns. And so I'm really proud. We've got 2 great videos on our website, which we just completed, which are awesome, which maybe one day you'll play on your show. But they show joy, and I think that's, you know, everybody wants to travel, and everybody wants to be spoken to, right? You want to see yourself you want to picture yourself in Fort Lauderdale. And I think that's what I really love to do. That's my passion. And I think you can tell when I'm speaking to you now that my tone changes and maybe my body language changes, and I become, the Richard Gray that wants to push boundaries.
And still are.
Yeah.
Still are. And you're not walking out the door yet. We've still got you here for another 4 months.
Okay,
no, not here. No, the interview
I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving.
Only about 10 or 15 more minutes here. But
I'm not leaving Broward County.
I want to travel back in time to New Year's Day 2024. Perhaps visit Lauderdale's most visible triumph in its history, when you debuted, when we made our debut at the Tournament of Roses parade in Pasadena, California. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about that. Had an amazing float. And the rules are it has to be all organic material. So like you and the team were like tapping or gluing these on and flowers and all that.
Brussels sprouts.
Yeah. So how did that come about? There was an original song.
Right.
You had an original song by a local artist who I interviewed him, and he was just fantastic. Right. How did that event come about? And it's impossible to measure the amount of goodwill that it comes from, but surely you've had some.
101% Stacey Ritter. It was completely her idea to go with a Rose Bowl. And I remember when we were out having lunch, and she told me, this idea of the Rose Bowl parade, doing something really different. And I said, I love it. Do it. Let's do it. Because it was a time that we really wanted to remind people again. We'd had the Don't Say Gay bill, and we wanted to remind Californians, especially in California, huge marketing reach for us, that we were a destination that welcomed everyone under the sun. And for us, it was pushing the envelope again, pushing the boundaries, being Greater Fort Lauderdale, being Visit Lauderdale, thought leaders, and gutsy. I mean, going back to, our support and how we push the envelope, when the video We Are VL, is that, in those times, those kind of dark times, if you like, we were the only destination to speak out. We were the only destination. No other destinations had the courage, to speak out or change their marketing. Mm-hmm. I mean, we really changed our marketing, and I always want to remind people of that. Those other destinations that do really well with the LGBT market, but. We put our money what's that saying? You put your money where your mouth is, or your mouth where your money is. I can't remember.
Yeah. But money where your mouth is.
It's an American expression, I think.
Very much, yeah. Yeah. But you did it, and it paid off.
Yeah.
It looked beautiful.
Genius. It was genius, and we highlighted the destination as being totally inclusive and welcoming everyone under the sun. And we highlighted the Guitar Hotel, the Wave Wall, the alligators, the hockey team, the Panthers. So it was
a Native American from the Seminole tribe was on there.
Yeah. And the school teacher of the year. I mean, it was just fabulous. I mean, just to be a part of something like that is just great. I wasn't there, unfortunately. I was on a cruise ship, but I was there in spirit, and very proud of the destination.
Now, we talk about, okay, so you weren't in Pasadena, but you were traveling, and you spend so much of your time telling other cities how great Fort Lauderdale is. But you go there and you tell them, like, you just got back from South America.
Right.
And by the way, if you want to live vicariously through someone, follow Richard's social. He goes everywhere, meets so many great people. It's really a lot of fun to follow. But you go there and you tell people, like, I'm just going to toss out a name like Minneapolis, like, oh, it's going to be cold here in a few months. It'll be warm down here. So enjoy the gay 90s in the summer, and then come down and visit us. You started a marketing partnership this year with Provincetown.
We did.
And so, like, I guess this summer we've been promoting Wilton Manors up there, and then they'll promote Provincetown this winter down here. How's that working out? Because it seems like such a natural synergy. I was shocked that no one had thought of it before.
I honestly, I was just sitting in my office and I was just thinking about something, Stacey's always good. Think outside the box, push. And I thought Provincetown. I mean, Provincetown, great market. I mean, very good travelers that go there. I mean, they've got loads of events and whatever. And I thought, how about we create a partnership, we collaborate with the Provincetown Business Guild. So I reached out to them. And I think they were kind of shocked that I reached out to them. But we talked about it and we put together a strategy. And from December of last year, we were pretty much, our logo was pretty much everywhere in the whole village, if you like, the whole of P-Town, from marketing, social. We reached well over 1 million visitors. Social media ran into the millions. We hosted events, the Brass Key. We had like 1,200 people attend an event at the Brass Key guest house. So it was exciting. And the other thing that we're doing that I don't know if you know about is that we're the diamond sponsor for Palm Springs Pride at the beginning of November. That's hot off the press.
You heard it here first.
So I like to do different things. In the early days, it was very easy. And I think maybe we make it look easy now, but a lot of thought goes into it. But in the early days, it was very simple. You stuck up a rainbow flag, you ran an ad in a gay magazine, and you get business. But, LGBT travelers are a little bit smarter and savvier than that. And after a while, after that 5-year, 7-year rainbow boom, if you like, where if you put those flags, people, no. I want maybe a better quality of service or whatever. I want to go in to stay in a Hilton. Maybe I want to accrue Hilton points, or I have an allegiance with American Airlines or whatever. Yeah. So I think, travelers have evolved. Before, 30 years ago, we would just go and support a gay place, even if it wasn't, great, but we would go there because we felt safe. And I think that's very important, safe. Just like the trans community want to feel safe. At that time, I wanted to feel safe. And obviously we've evolved, the world has evolved. Obviously some countries haven't, but most countries you can go there, and as long as you respect their religion and things like that and their code of conduct, you can travel very safely. I love going to the United Arab Emirates, for example. I think Dubai and Abu Dhabi are just extraordinary destinations. But a lot of people may not agree with being in the UAE. But I think as long as you respect their culture and whatever, you're not going to have any problem. I don't feel threatened. So I think we've had that evolution of acceptance. And I feel that, that by pushing the envelope, that I have had an influence, not just, I think in many ways it's because I'm English. I'm not American. Okay. And I have to say that I think differently to Americans. I think internationally. So I've always thought internationally. So for me, working here in Broward County in Greater Fort Lauderdale, of course I want Broward County to do well. I want everyone to do well here. I want the community to thrive. And I'm proud that it is thriving and that I have been a part of that over the last 33 years. I've been a piece of the pie. But it just makes me feel good, to be honest with you, that we've evolved that way.
Now, after more than 30 years, your mantle is getting full. Recognition of your work includes being this year's recipient of the LGBTQ+ Tourism Pioneer Award by ITB Berlin.
Yes.
Last year, you were named by Travelability as an accessibility champion. You've been named as one of Out 100's most influential leaders. Now, I bring this up not to make you blush or anything. That's just a side benefit. But it's, to me, that says you didn't just come here, if everything else hasn't told you this, you didn't come here just to collect a paycheck. You don't go in, do your 40 hours. You have worked and worked to bring all of Broward County and Greater Fort Lauderdale to a better visibility, to a better life. And it says that you do it so well that people from here to Berlin and beyond have noticed it.
Yes.
So thank you so much for what you've done. I do appreciate it. So we got to start winding it down. You've spent your life traveling. Like I said, you just got back. I think you're still a little jet lagged from South America.
I am too.
You travel to England. You know, I'm always very nervous whenever I text you because I'm like, I have no idea what time
you can always text me. I don't text is fine. Calling is different, but texting is I find easy.
So, what is the plan for retirement?
What is the plan? What is the plan? Plan is just to take it easy for a while, for sure. Take it easy. Not have my inbox full of emails, not dealing with all the paperwork of contracts and that, and to take better care of myself, to enjoy my family in Britain, and you know, just enjoy life, have a good quality of life. You know, I know my mind, and I know I got lots of ideas in here still. So, you know, I'm not saying I'm going. You know, I'm not saying that I'm going, but I'm looking forward to it.
Where have you not been that you still want to go?
Antarctica.
Antarctica.
Yeah, Antarctica. I've always wanted to go to Antarctica, and so that's high on my list. So I'll make sure I'll be going to Antarctica probably next year.
Oh, so fun!
Yeah,
so cool.
So cold.
Pet the penguins.
Pet the penguins. Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. Travel is in my blood, and you know, in England, I want to say it's something like 95% of British people have passports. I mean, everybody travels. Everybody looks forward to their 2 or 3 weeks holiday a year. It doesn't matter what the state of your bank accounts are. You just put it on your credit card. People will take their holiday. Their holiday is like essential. So
just put it on your credit card. How very American.
No, very, very naughty.
So you've done lots of interviews, more with me than I can count, and you've also been in bed with Faye Watt.
I know. I loved being in bed with Faye Watt. Oh my God.
Well, my question was going to be, who's your favorite? But I think you just answered it.
You're all amazing. I think I'm proud of this community. I really am. There's such an extraordinary amount of talented people here. There are so, you know, I know I've accomplished a lot. I know I have. But I'm just a spoke. I'm just a spoke in a wheel. There are plenty of spokes here in the county that are making the world a better place. And I truly believe that that's why we're here on earth. You know, we're here to make a difference. And that's what I want to continue to do. Even in my retirement, I want to continue to make a difference.
Finally, one last question. How do you hope to be remembered?
I always was nervous of that question because it kind of implied that it was almost the end of the road. But I think I would like Richard Gray to be remembered as somebody who pushed boundaries and created paths for others to follow. That's how I really feel. That's how I feel my accomplishments that I've made all around the world in different countries, the influence that I've had. I feel it. And, you know, when I was just in Argentina, it's they're family to me, these people in the industry. They're relationships that I've had for, you know, over 20 years, 30 years. These people are family, and it is their inspiration to me that has allowed me to be so creative and to come up with so many what I call simple out-of-the-box ideas. I don't think that anything that I've done has been rocket science. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple, right? We say LGBT, so doesn't it make sense to market to transgender people? I mean, it's all no-brainer stuff, but sometimes it's the simple stuff that is the hardest to come up with. So I came up with those ideas, those campaigns, but it's really wanting to support those communities and be a voice for them. I really want to be a voice for people with visible and invisible disabilities. I have to say the last 3 years, it's been an extraordinary journey looking at that platform, and especially proud that in the Paralympics, Greater Fort Lauderdale sponsored a swimmer, an Afghan refugee who became a US citizen, who lives in Fort Lauderdale and trains at the Aquatic Center, and on Saturday took home an Olympic silver medal in the relay, in the swimming, Abbas Karimi. And that gives me goosebumps. That makes me feel, wow,
I've got goosebumps. That is so awesome is an overused word, but it is so appropriate in this.
And he's an amazing young man.
Yeah.
I mean, he has no arms, and he drives a car with his foot, with his leg, and he eats, he does everything, he dresses himself. He's an extraordinary young man, and he's in the finals of I think 2 more events. I was looking online last night, so fingers crossed that he takes home another medal for him and for us. I mean, it's wonderful.
Absolutely. I want an introduction.
Yeah.
When he comes back,
yes,
we'll do a little story on that.
No, I think that he would love that. He's very highly personable, and his story is remarkable. How he left Afghanistan, for example, how he fled to Turkey, how he ended up in the United States, in Portland, how the pandemic started, and so the swimming pool in Portland was closed, but a trainer poached him from Fort Lauderdale, from the Aquatic Center, Fort Lauderdale Aquatic Center, and so he came to Fort Lauderdale, and he loves it here. And, we have a champion. And how great is that? We all want to be champions of inclusion, champions of diversity, just champions.
Well, you, sir, are Fort Lauderdale's champion.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you.
Richard, of course, like I said, you're still here till January 3rd. I'm sure our paths will cross again as we get into season. You're irreplaceable. There will never be another Richard Gray. No one will ever be able to do what you have done. But whoever your successor is, you have laid such an amazing foundation.
Thank you.
For them to continue to build on. So on behalf of everyone in Fort Lauderdale, Greater Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, whether you've heard his name or this is the first time you've heard his name today, he has certainly impacted you in a most positive way. So on behalf of all of us, thank you so much, Richard Gray.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it.